Hey guys, so we're back on the Civic, and as you see right now, I started putting some body panels on it. Now it's not the silver ones you originally seen, which I still have. So this plan for this car after the budget build was I wanted to paint the full car. The full car isn't part of the budget build. The budget build of this car originally was, can I buy and swap a K24 into this car for 2,000 American? I'm well on my way of doing that, but right now I'm in a standstill. I want to work on this car, but we got to put the motor tranny and K-frame back in, but Chris isn't here to help us, neither is Jeff. So I'm going to start doing the body work on the car, which would have been done after this video series was done anyways, but really there's not much body work to do. So I figured if I bang it out in the next week or so, today's Friday, the motor's going in tomorrow anyways, but it gives me kind of a jump start. So I'm not going to add it to the budget because technically the budget's done basically. I haven't reached the $2,000, but the K-swap is done. I'm still going to keep track if I have to buy, fuel lines, if I have to buy a regulator, if I'm going to go that route, or if I'm going to go K-Pro or whatever I'm going to do that way for the K-series part of it. I will keep it in budget and I will show you guys and break down the budget so you guys can follow along. But no one at home is going to take this car here and be like, okay, now that I K-swapped it, I want to paint the car. I'm only doing it because I do body work for a living, and for me, I like to have my cars nice. That's the only reason why I changed to the color change, was because I knew at the end of the day, I would end up painting the whole car, because I'm not one to have like the engine bay silver or the car silver with a blue engine bay. I'm not that type of person. So realistically, yes, the silver parts could go on this car, I could wrap it up, and the body work would cost me $0 because I got a silver parts car and everything went together. So I showed you that was possible. I showed you that we can do this K-swap fairly cheap. But what are we gonna do today? We're gonna swap an EL front end on it. Now I probably should have fitted up an EL front end before I changed the ride support because, well, some things are different and I'm gonna walk you through it. I think the EL front end with the EL bumper, and I have the factory A-spec lip, which should go with the reverb, side skirts, and rear lip, will give this car that little extra pizzazz, and it should make it pop. Now, we were going to do this in series. I always planned on putting this front end on. I always planned on doing the all-wheel drive that you guys didn't really know about yet, but that's after the budget K-series is done. We're going to do a budget all-wheel drive system. I'm going to walk you through that we can probably all-wheel drive swap this for maybe $1,000. And, that's rear spindles, that's rear arms, that's the diff, that's the drive shaft, transmission, everything we need to do. We're going to walk you through that later on. So this is going to have multiple stages of what we're going to do. At the end of the day, it's going to be all-wheel drive swapped, turbo, and it's going to be a nice looking car. So enough rambling on. Let me show you what we're going to need to do to get this EL front end on this car. So you will see our freshly painted engine bay. Again, so this is one of the things that I said that you'll notice. This should bolt like right there, but the hole is right there. So that technically should have been brought up. Now there's two ways I could do it. I could drill a hole here and have the adjustment there, which I probably will do. Or I could put a plate from here to here, have it screw into that you wouldn't see, and then into this one. That seems like a lot more work. I think I'm going to end up modifying, putting a hole here, so that will go into where it needs to be like that, screw in, and then I could weld that hole up if I wanted to, or put a plug in it. Side, but the thing we're gonna run into, let's see, the headlight isn't in all the way, and if you scroll in here, you'll see the headlights hitting right there. So I need to trim some of that off. I'm not looking forward to that. So I'm gonna get this marked up, ready to go, so we can trim that, so we can get the headlight in spot. Once the headlight's in spot, I think just for the rest of this video, since you see me paint, is I'm gonna get both headlights sitting in spot, get the bumper where I want it, go get the front lip for the bumper. We can set that in spot. That way the car is together. We can get the Acura EL hood in spot as well. And then we can prep it for paint. So the headlight out, we'll see it a lot better. You'll see right here is where it's hitting. So I'm assuming if I come up along here, come down, and maybe just make it a little wider here, that should be enough. Now there's two ways I could do it. I'm gonna take my little die grinder cutoff wheel, I'm gonna come across, down and over. I wanna try to stay out of the engine bay. Well, technically you won't see in here anyways, because the headlight's gonna slide in here, but we don't want it to rust, so we're gonna make sure we're gonna have to touch this up when we're done. Now you don't want to rub the metal, that we like the grinding dust, because it will scratch. For this is really fresh paint. So we do have plans for this old headlight because I'm going to retrofit them. But as you see, the gap here is now tight. It's going to show you a little bigger gap than what's actually there, just because of maybe the angle of this, but I don't think it's going to. So our next issue we're going to have is this cross piece right here. Just needs to be brought out to connect. Now, if you'll see, the hole is just off a little bit. So I'm going to just take the hammer or a pry bar and I'm just going to pry that out. It's going to be hard to show that. But that headlight is now fitting. Come in here. You will see that I think it might still barely be touching. But I know now I don't need to cut so high up because it's only touching there. So that's good there. We got to do the same thing on this side, which I'll do off camera. And then we can get that fitted. And then we can come in here and we can fit the fender. We'll drill a hole where we need to go, bolt it, and then I'll try to get the hood on by myself. So I do have the hood here. Do apologize about our diesel heater. It is a little loud, so you might be hearing that in the background, but it's kind of cold today. It's snowing. I didn't plan on doing this, but I want to get this set up so I can bang out the bodywork. Today is January 20th, which you probably won't see this for a little bit, but I want to bang this out in less than a week. So the point of me doing this is A, I want it all one color. B, I don't like silver. I like a little pop. My driveway's a rainbow. I got the Viper Green SRT. I got the NYG Neon, Orange Camaro, Plum Crazy Purple PT Cruiser. Now we're gonna have a Laguna Blue Civic. We got the Copperhead Civic Ute, so things like that, right? So less talking, more working. So to do this, there's a bracket right here that the fender bolts to. I'm just gonna take my hand, bend it towards the front of the car where it needs to be for the new fender. Not much. Okay, I got it lined up there. Take a screwdriver, put it through the fender and the headlight bracket, which is right there. So I'm in there. Take the proper bolt for the bottom one. We'll help it. Get that in spot first. So now that we got that in spot, the next thing we're gonna do is set the bumper in spot, and then I can get the hood on, push these down to where I think they need to be, so they could be screwed in and line up the hood. Now, all these panels won't be staying on the car because I want to prep inside these fenders anyways. We're in the East Coast of Canada. There's probably some flake or some rust that I'll have to clean up. And B, I want to keep this engine bay up so there's no overspray that goes in here once the motor goes in. So keep that in mind. For the rad support, because I don't want to damage my fresh paint up here. Looks like a lot of this is going pretty good. That way it just can't fall. Huh, there's still a bolt there. Okay, you see me struggling trying to get the hood on by myself. I shut the camera off just in case I made a fool of myself. I got it up. Now, this don't fit bad through here, but I want to grind the inside of that metal tab a little more, maybe to get that to sit a little flusher. Up here isn't adjusted yet, only because it's so much easier with two people, so I'm gonna wait, or I might play with it off of camera, but you can see it's super tight. Basically, I can unbolt the fender right here, pull it out a little bit, and then when I bolt it up here, I can just pull it out, depending on how this sits flush here. We did stick the front lip on, which I do like the look of the front lip. You get to this side, there is a bigger gap here. Now, if anyone's familiar with Hondas, there is a metal bracket that's there. I can literally undo that bracket from here, bend it up some, which will suck the bumper up. That's not my concern. Through here fits good. And the gap here, I could actually just rob it and come this way a little bit, close that gap. That gap's pretty respectable now, but I can make it a little tighter, which will give me a gap there. This will be done. If you guys look around hard enough, you can find these parts fairly cheap. Again, this isn't part of our $2,000 budget build because I didn't need to do this. This was gonna be after the swap. I was gonna surprise you guys, but honestly, I was like, why put the silver front end on? Wait a couple days for Chris to come out and give me a hand getting the motor in when I could literally just get most of the body work done probably before Chris comes out and we get the motor in. So, because there's not much work to do to this car, I was lucky this car was a rust-free Civic. Originally, I went on carparts.com and I searched all my local yards that use that website for Acura parts. Now, the hood and fenders I did find from the one yard, and they did have a bumper. The bumper was damaged. The bumper that I bought originally was like smashed right here. But this lip was still good. So you can see the lip has a little bit of paint issues because it's probably painted, not prepped properly. Yeah, see? But the pictures I seen online had this lip on it. So when I called them, I was like, hey, do you still have that Acura EL? And the guy's like, we do. The bumper cover is no good. And I convinced them to send me pictures, and they sold me the first bumper cover for $20, which means I got that front lip, the A-Spec Acura EL front lip, for 20 bucks. And then I called another yard and found another yard with a bumper, which was 80 bucks. I think I paid $40 a fender, and I think I paid like $50 for the hood. So parts are dirt cheap. Headlights, I do have another set. I'm going to polish these ones for now. I'm going to take them apart, and I am going to end up doing a set of retrofits of some kind. I would like to maybe cut out some of the front of it and see if we can fit the jewel eyes in here. That would be sick. FYI, if Jeff is watching this, he's going to help me, but he's not really going to help me because he does not want to do jewel eyes. He said he'd never do another set, but let's see if we can convince Jeff to put a set of jewel eyes in the front of this. Would look sick. Now, with that big front grille, we should be able to fit an intercooler there when it comes time to turbo, which just means we will be cutting away fresh paint again. So as you see, guys, this car is super solid, so it's not going to take me long to bang out a few dents on all the way around. And then when Chris comes, I will line this front end up just a bit better. You will see there is our nice freshly painted engine bay. Next time you see this, the motor will be in it. And the fenders will be adjusted too. So, new to the channel, guys, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I did cover a lot in this video. I did show you, obviously, version 2 before version 1 was even done. That's the front end and the fresh paint. Version 3 is going to be all-wheel drive. And then version 4, I'm not going to do what I do with my Civic Ute and just do it all at once because it gets time-consuming. Things might not work, and then you're troubleshooting a whole bunch of stuff, and it just drags on. So we'll all-wheel drive swap it, which would have been a perfect day today because we're getting like 20 plus centimeters of snow. We'll leave it NA, all-wheel drive K24, manual swap, and then once the all-wheel drive setup is done, we will go a sidewinder turbo, and then we'll shoot for like 500 plus horsepower. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one, and definitely catch me on the next.